Today's episode of Chat and Chew is sponsored by Be Positive Productions and Multimedia Studios, LLC. I like to think of imagination as something akin to a superpower. Used in the right context for good, it can help bolster our aspirations and propel us closer to our goals. We visualize the outcome of our accomplishments and work toward attaining said thing. However, when used to propagate untruths, reality can become distorted. We no longer know what's real and what's not. The more often we repeat something to ourselves, the more likely it is to become our truth, and the lines between perception and reality begin to blur. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a wrap.
Nationwide, more than 20 million children live in a home without a father. We want to change this. We are Fathers Forever, a North Carolina nonprofit promoting responsible fatherhood. We help incarcerated fathers return back into society. We offer 90-day transitional housing, a comprehensive training program, and job opportunities. Visit our website to learn more, afatherforever.com.
Greetings and welcome to our episode of Chat and Chew. I'm very excited today. We have our guest, Dennis Gaddy, a friend of mine, a mentor. Quick story, when we first started Fathers Forever about 15 years ago, I met Dennis, and I get into a little bit of that in the episode, and he really opened up his door to Fathers Forever, allowed us to come in and use this space free of charge 2 times a week for about 2 years, and I'm very grateful that he gave us the opportunity to do that. Dennis is a good friend, he's a mentor, he has been around. He's doing some great work in the community. CSI is known around the world, and I'm honored to really be able to interview our friend Dennis Gaddy. I know some of you guys are tuning in during your dinner time, so let's chat and chew while you do.
Please make sure you follow us on Facebook, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and of course, hit the bell to activate notifications that will remind you when we're on. Please be sure to leave us a comment to let us know how we're doing. We'd love to hear from you.
So welcome, my audience. In our studio today, we have Dennis Gaddy, my friend, my mentor, and welcome to the set, Dennis.
Thank you.
Thank you for your opportunity to come and share your life story with us. And I want to say I first met Dennis. I was in grad school at Shaw University a few years ago, and life happened. I didn't quite finish that. But one of the responsibilities, assignments I had to do was to interview a Christian educator. And a lot of people, my other students, were interviewing pastors and Sunday school teachers and those kind of things. I wanted to interview somebody in the community that was doing some work in the community. I call it Christian work. And somebody told me about Dennis Gaddy and Community Success Initiative. And I call you, I sit down and we had an interview, and I got an A on my class.
Great.
And you changed my life. My because I wanted to do some things in the community, but that was the first thing that I started doing. So I wanted to introduce. First of all, I want you to introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, where you came from, a little bit about your life, and how you got started in this work.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm a country boy, right?
I tell everybody from DC.
Oh yeah, deep country.
Deep country. They think I'm talking about District of Columbia. I'm talking about deep country. They ain't deep.
I hear that. So I was born on a dirt road in a little town called Fairmont on a farm, and that's where I was born and raised in Robeson County, one of the poorest counties in the state of North Carolina. And so I grew up there, went to school, loved school, ended up being a bus driver. I played basketball, ran track, and also we had a farm that we worked that my dad worked.
Wow.
And of course the children worked.
Yes, we all work.
And I always remember this Saturday morning when my dad came to my bed and woke me up and said something I've been and get to the back of but you got it back of
Back in Florida.
and I said, Dad, it's raining. It's raining. Or as my grandson said, it rained out there. And so he said, son, it never rains on a tobacco bag. And to myself, because I wasn't talking about my daddy,
Exactly.
I said, I'm going to college.
That changed your mind. That's all it took.
It was my incentive to go to college.
Yes.
Was that tobacco field. So in that regard, I did. I went on to college at UNC Chapel Hill. And actually went on law school after that came up when it was still in Louisville.
Dennis Gaddy. I'm the Executive Director of Community Success Initiative at Raleigh. I was incarcerated for 5.5 years in the North Carolina Department of Corrections.
Wife has been a very instrumental part of my life because she was able to hang in with me when I was down. And she spent 5.5 years with me when I was incarcerated, and she never missed a visit.
When did you come up with the concept of CSI?
In prison. I just didn't know what it was going to look like,
Right.
but I knew it was going to be involving helping people who come home from prison and don't have a wraparound support team. Right. And so I really come to the work really by obligation, right? Because I knew the people that came home were not as fortunate as I was when I came home.
Right.
At least a lot of them were not.
Right.
So with no money and no desk and a phone, with my cell phone, with my office phone, I just dove in. Well, before that, because I didn't know anything about reentry wasn't even a word 20 years ago, 19 years ago. And my wife, I think she finally realized that that's what I was going to do. She didn't really want that. You really found a job. So, but I kept picking with it. She said, "Okay, this is what you're going to do." So she went to her retirement fund and pulled out $10,000 and said, "Here, go find your way." Wow. And that's what I did. Jumping on airplanes and buses and trains and things, trying to go around. As a matter of fact, I knew Kamala Harris about her work when she was still the district attorney of San Francisco.
Really?
Yeah, so I've been following her a long time.
Wow.
And she amazed me because as a DA, she had an office of reentry services in her DA's office. And I was really impressed by that. And so as we began to gather, we found a little office in the bottom of the school where you and I met at Hope Charles School, and began just going after it. We had roundtables every month. We know what we're doing. And we would just bring people from all over the state. They'd come gather. We couldn't afford food, so we had potluck.
I remember those days that you would, I would take my lunch break. Once a month, where we had one, I would go sit down and we would have those roundtables.
Yes, sir. And that's where they started. And other people started coming and wanting to do the same thing in their part of the state. So I ended up getting a little money to train other people who wanted to do it.
Wow. Well, the personal story that I got that you helped me out, when Father Forever was just at its conception,
yes, sir,
just getting started, I remember wanting to meet Judge at the time, Judge Christian Root.
Yes.
And she was working in the ordering guys to follow the program. I was like, man, I would love to meet her. And I came to you and you organized that and arranged that. I got to meet her. And
that office at my office. I remember that.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, when you told me, she said, when she found out about your program, she was going to order guys to you, more so than me.
Wow.
And that I don't know, but she thought order guys to the program. And that's how come we got started. And then we started growing so fast that I didn't have space. I was meeting at the church, which I didn't want to meet at the church because I wanted the guys to feel at ease. I wanted a mutual location. Because at the time we were getting Muslims, we were getting atheists, we were getting all kinds of religions, and I don't want them to feel, like I was trying to preach to them.
That's right.
So we ended up going to your spot.
Yep.
And for I don't know how many years, 3 or 4 years,
Yeah.
you let us use your spot rent-free every Thursday afternoon from 6 to 7:30. And then we added Saturday morning
I remember.
from 10:30, 10 o'clock to 11. And you didn't charge us nothing. That was our office. We used your paper, we used your ink, we used anything that we wanted. And you were my mentors. And if it wasn't for you, we probably wouldn't have got started.
I don't know about that.
I'm telling you, man, you were a godsend. And so when I get people like me, when they call me, it's like, what can you do to help me? I remember those days that I needed help. So I just wanted to put that in there.
That's good. That's good.
So tell us a little bit more about the journey.
So we kind of took off, I guess. Beginning there, we're in our 19th year now, so just like yesterday. And we have a nice little spot now. We always have a nice little spot.
Yeah.
And so we see about 300 people a year walk in, and we touch about 2,000 by the time you have our conferences, our workshops, our trainings across the country, and across the state, and sometimes across the country. And we have a staff, about 5 people in Raleigh and 2 in Durham. So we have a team now. Our theme is helping people get from where they are to where they want to be. And our primary theme is I'm for second chances.
Right. Which I want you to get into a little more about that.
Okay.
I got to meet the Reverend Barbara do the second chance for you.
Yeah.
And so tell me, what is that about?
So the second chance theme kind of popped out of thin air in 2010. Right? The planners, we were on the phone, and we were talking about what our first lobby day would look like. We started lobby days in 2011. And I think I was talking, and we were just talking. I said, well, we need a T-shirt, maybe we get a button that says I'm for second chances or something. And it just kind of came out that way.
Wow.
And people liked it, and it has its own little place now in our world.
Yeah.
But the Second Chance Alliance, which is part of the work I do, is working with some of the same partners that I work with just in the day-to-day work, but also creating a place to talk about policy change, right? Working at the legislature, trying to get laws changed that are hindering people who are entangled in the criminal justice system, because everybody that we touch haven't necessarily been in jail or prison,
Right.
but they're entangled somehow,
Yeah.
right? And so we find ourselves now lobbying, or for lack of a better word, although we're not lobbyists.
Right.
And we go to the legislature even now once a year, and we brought up to 1,000 people at one time in 2019 before COVID. We did about 700 this year in May, and we walk the halls of the legislature, and people who didn't even think they could go to the legislature.
Yeah. I'm going. We've been there.
Able to now walk the halls and make some demands.
Yeah.
We want to take the box off the application. Ban the box. We want to.
Right. So which is what is ban the box? Yeah, a lot of people have heard that, and that's very real. Real what people are struggling with today.
Yeah.
Explain that. What is that?
Well, it's the question that's on the front page of applications that ask you if you've had any issues around a criminal record over the years, ever, whatever.
Right.
So we believe not only is the question unfair, it's discriminatory because it mostly affects African American males, right? So here's what happens when you check a box,
Right.
you never get a call. Nobody calls you. Nobody asks you to come in for an interview. Nobody checks you out so they can say, well, tell me about that a little bit. How long ago was it? Whatever, right? So we fought it because we believed it was unfair, and we won. I was very instrumental to the.
Hold that thought. I want to talk to the audience briefly. Ban the box is a check. It's a box on the application that people go apply for jobs.
That's right.
And a lot of times, if that box is checked, you never get called for an interview. But the work that you've done, get the policy change to take that box off the application.
That's right.
And what is the purpose of that?
Well, we don't. we don't not ask the question. We just
Right.
ask it later.
Later on, exactly.
Right? Because we believe that if a person can get some face time
Right.
with an employer, that could change everything. Now, that unchecking the box or removing the box from the front page, that doesn't guarantee a job.
Right, exactly.
But in Georgia, they have this phrase that I like to use that says, "But it enhances your chance for a job." Right? So we still think that's a victory because you got a shot at showing who you are now, right? And having FaceTime.
Yeah, but if that part was a check, you know, you gotta reveal who you are
Right.
and your record later on.
Yeah.
But at least you have time to sit
That's right.
in front of the employer and said that robbery that I did,
Yeah.
that was 15 years ago.
That's exactly right.
I'm a husband now. I got 4 kids and I got a house. I don't do that
They
anymore.
never get to hear that.
They would never got to hear that if that box was checked.
That's right.
But because you're not being deceitful,
Right.
and you still got to tell people of your criminal records.
Absolutely.
But it may be sitting in front of the employer.
And you don't have to talk about it until you've been offered a provisional position. A position. So that's a victory, right?
Right.
So we're able to walk through that with the help of our legislatures and with the help of the Second Chance Alliance and organizations like ours across the state. And we've been doing that since 2011, that type of thing. We've lowered the expungement requirements. And when we started this work, there was no such thing as an expungement in North Carolina.
Right.
And that means if you had a record, you always had a record,
Yeah.
right? But now we're working on getting the years down to 7 and 10 years so that a person can have a chance to get their record cleared. And we're fighting that still right now.
So the great work you've done, the foot soldier work that you've done,
That's right.
foot's on the ground, you've been there, done that, you got the experience.
Yes, sir.
You can talk about guys who have struggled with injury. To you moving, accelerating up to now affect policies,
Yes, sir.
which affects the work on the ground.
That's right.
That progression
Yes, sir.
is powerful that you keep going up the ladder now, that you be able to influence so many policies, because you and I both know it's the policies sometimes
That's right.
that keep people discriminated against.
Yeah.
It's the policies that takes away the opportunities
Yeah.
for people to exceed when the policy is not meeting the needs of people.
And we've had some very good success with our relationship with some of our legislators. Particularly, I want to highlight Angela Bryant, who's rocking now. At that time, she was Senator Angela Bryant, and Representative Garland Pierce from my part of the world.
Yes,
They have led the effort to make some legislative presence in this work, and they even put together a study committee that I led to help explain to the legislators what this whole reentry conversation is all about.
Wow.
So we're able to do that. Some of the things that we now currently working with, like our LRCs, our local reentry council, that came out of those conversations.
Right. I remember a story when you were doing some fundraiser years ago
Right.
when we were at Applebee's.
Yeah.
And then and I did a story on you from the jail cell to Geneva, Switzerland.
Yeah.
You were going there to have a speech, and I was amazed that a few years ago you were incarcerated yourself. Now you're traveling not just across the United States, but in other countries doing work on reentry. That's powerful.
One of the positions that I hold is the criminal justice chair for the NAACP of North Carolina, and I was appointed under Dr. William Marble when he was the president of the NAACP, and he became my mentor at that time. It had been like 15 years now. He's no longer there. He's running his own show called Repairs of the Breach Nationwide. He's also teaching at the Yale Divinity School.
Yes, got to meet him through you a few months ago.
Yeah, and he was supposed to go to Switzerland on behalf of the NAACP because he was president of that thing, and he couldn't go. And me being the criminal justice chair for the state, he asked me if I wanted to go. I said, well, yeah. So we made 2 trips there to Geneva, and we spoke at the UN and talked about felony disenfranchisement, and talked about the voting piece for legal records. Very powerful.
Yeah. So your mother sowed that seed in your heart as you were growing up about voting.
Miss Landy.
Yes, she did. Miss Landy had done an excellent job because you picked up the mantle and taking it to another, in your work that you're doing. How important is people getting out to vote?
Yeah.
Into local policies?
It's extremely important Because here's what I say, kind of halfway jokingly, but I really mean what I say, is that if the vote was not important, why are they always trying to take it? Right?
Good point.
You know?
That's a very good point.
So we know there's something to it, right? Yes. And so I dove in. We just we're still continuing our trek along our Unlock Our Vote campaign with the Alliance. And we were the lead plaintiffs in a lawsuit against the state of North Carolina and the State Board of Elections 2 years ago. And we won in the lower courts of our state and the counties. And then we were reversed by the state Supreme Court in February of this year. It means that it goes back to the old law of being able to get your license, your voting rights restored once you've been released and have got off of probation and parole. We were advocating for being able to vote even if you're still on probation, but as long as you've been released from prison. Right. Because we believe if you work and you pay taxes, you try to have a part of this democracy. Right. So that was our fight, and it still is. We're going back to the table now and refreshing ourselves, and we'll be coming back to further that fight. So in my case, that the current law it affected me. Because when I came home, I did 7 years of probation before I was released from probation. So that means that during that time, I couldn't vote, even though I was released and working. Right?
Yeah.
So during that 7 years, as civic-minded as I am and came from, I was unable to vote for the first black president. Right? Wow. So I kind of took it personal.
Yes.
Right. And so that's another driving reason why I was able to be a part of the lawsuit and probably the lead plaintiff in the lawsuit.
Wow. So, yeah. Man, that's amazing. And which is again to the audience. Sometimes your struggles, sometimes the thing that you go through, it can be the driving point.
And it can be your purpose.
Yeah, to make a difference in other people's lives. Because,
absolutely.
You know, and I tell guys before we want to pause, and I tell people who are helping us. You go up in a household. You go up in a household with your dad. Mm-hmm. You know how that feels, what that looks like.
Yes, sir.
You did not go up in a household with your dad. Right. You came up fatherless. You know how that feels.
That's right.
What that looks like. Together, everybody poured into those fathers to make a big difference.
Absolutely.
And that's amazing that sometimes that our pain is the thing that compels us to do some greater work.
Yeah, and I think mom and dad had a lot to do with that as well. You know, and this is a whole other story on voting and race, but in 1935, FDR, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, initiated what is called the Social Security Act, and it applied to get your Social Security to everyone except domestics and agriculture. How about that? Wow. So who does that cover, right? Mostly African American people. Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. My mom was a maid, my dad was a farmer. Right. So that means from 1935 to 1954, they weren't eligible to receive Social Security. That's systemic racism. Yeah. Right? That's by design.
Yeah.
Right?
To its core.
Yeah. So in 1954 it was reinstated so everybody could do it. But look at how much gap there was between my mama and dad getting Social Security and the person who was not African American's parents. So here's what happens with this, and I learned about this in the 2-day race equity class that I've taken about 5 times. Every time I take it, I get madder and madder. But so the gap between a person who's not African American, their parents say they get this amount of Social Security, right?
Right.
My parents got this amount of Social Security, right? Guess who had to make up the difference? The kids, right? So we have to subsidize my parents' retirement. So
how unfair is that?
Wow, it's very unfair. So I'm very involved in the voting process and kind of what goes on with that.
So we're gonna talk about that to Jesus come back.
Yep.
So we're gonna shift gears a little bit, and what I really want you to talk about, and we didn't go over your resume. You have a very extensive resume, thing that you've done, thing that you're still doing, and so we are going to be creating. We are already doing a Fatherhood Summit, authentic Fatherhood Summit. We're going to be doing different churches. And we got one church already scheduled for the 28th, And we got a phone call today of another church who wants to sponsor that coming up. And we got to pick a date to that.
I think it's fantastic.
And this is a conference that we're going to be the 5.5 hour. But one of the things I really want to bring to the table is that way. And fathers are leaders. Men are leaders. You know, God chose us to be leaders. I'm not minimizing the wife.
Absolutely.
But God told us to be leaders of our house.
Yes, sir.
And so I want you to dive into this a little bit, the 15 principles of personal growth and leadership. And at the same time, we want to bring that as a major part of our Fatherhood Summit. And then where we go at. And that's what tell you, clear your calendar, I'll let you know.
All right.
But you bring your replacement if you can't go, I understand. But I think that's important for fathers to men to learn the principle of leadership.
Yeah.
Our wives and our kids get frustrated with them sometimes because we don't know, they don't know what we lead.
That's right.
We're not leading them when what? We're having fun sitting on the couch watching TV, and that's all well and good, but what are you leading your family? And so I want to talk to you talk to us about these principles of leadership, and we want to share with them.
So before I get into that, I just want to make a side note around a dad coming home to a family after incarceration.
Yes.
Right? And you got to use wisdom in that. You just can't. I mean, one of the classes I teach to men is to be careful how you come home. Right? And I even say, kind of parenthetically, I say, you got to ease back to the house.
Ease back to the house.
You can't hurry back to the house, right? Because it's easy to come back and say, "Well, I'm back now." No, because in my particular situation, I have two daughters, right? Ashley's 36 today, as a matter of fact, and April is 33. Both married, both have children, but April was 5th grade when I came home, right? And she's not as excited as her sister is with regard to getting over things. She's a little tenderhearted, right? So you have to talk with two children from the same parent, different, right? So I came home and she kept asking me, "Dad, now tell me again why you couldn't get to my soccer games after you've been coming to them for so long and for 5 years you won't get. Could you tell me about that?"
Where were you at, Dad?
Yeah. Well, she knew where I was at, but she just that whole psychological piece, right? Because they would come and visit me, but the thing about it is, I couldn't get wore out by her asking me. She asked me once, she asked me 1,000 times.
You had to answer every time.
And had to answer like it was the first time. Wow. Right? So I said, I couldn't say, "Well, we just talked about that last week." So I'm wait, that's you couldn't go there like that. Right? Because she's tender and she's soft and she needs to know. So you got to take your time, baby. She's just that way. When it's time to eat breakfast, Ashley's the first thing downstairs. April said, "I'll be with y'all in a minute. Just let me get myself together." and that's what she is. So, but after a year of that, we made peace with it on Father's Day over tears and a card.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's the real story.
Yeah.
That is the heartfelt story.
Yeah.
That when guys are coming home from school, from incarceration, they got to help mend those fences.
Yep. And it takes time.
Yeah.
My wife had started using my side of the sink to dispose her dirty clothes. So I had to get my sink back.
You just could walk in and take the seat. She gotta give it up.
Wait a minute now.
Yeah, just hold tight. I'm gonna give it to you.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be on my turf, on my time. That's amazing.
So anyway, I just want to share that story because it's very emotional.
Right. Yeah.
But now she invites me to her classroom to teach. She said, "Dad, come talk to my knuckleheads in my class."
Yeah.
I need help. Yeah. I said, "Well, April, I'm a brain. She's not dead. We over that."
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So the 15 principles were actually birthed on my prison book, right?
Wow.
And they started out as 13 principles and they evolved into 15, right? And so I want to maybe highlight a couple of them.
Yeah.
I don't want to timetable here, but these are personal development principles, right? So if a person can do these things, there's a great chance they'll have an edge, right? On the competition, on the problems,
right?
Those kinds of things. So we'll just take a few here. We'll start with principle number 1. It says you become what you think about it. That's a sermon on a sentence, really. I mean, that's a whole lot to unpack, right? It comes from the ultimate law of the universe, which is sowing and reaping.
Yeah.
Right. And you just, I was born on a farm, so we had a garden, right?
Yeah.
So a farmer doesn't plant one to get one, right? I mean, because the harvest is always greater than the seed, right?
Yes.
So in this principle that you become what you think about, it's a neutral principle because you will become what you think about either way. Right. So you need to start thinking positively in order to attract positive things, right? And it doesn't matter if you're in prison or if you're outside the prison walls, the mind doesn't know the difference, right? So you can begin to funnel positive thoughts into your mind. And as I'm talking to my young people, I say, look, be careful what you allow to ease through the earbuds in your phone from that music you listen to. Not against all music.
Right.
I had teenagers before, I get it. Right. But the thing about it is, you're becoming that on the low. You don't even know what's happening, right? So just be mindful of what you allow to ease into your brain because the brain doesn't know the difference between the truth and a lie. Right. So it will just start doing what you're thinking on. Right?
Yes.
So my grandfather used to say, he said, there's a king and a fool in all of us.
Oh, really?
Right. And the one that shows up is the one that you saw.
Oh.
Right.
That's what you focus on.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
So you just gotta be careful. Right. So we use that to talk about, to let people know that this is a mighty powerful force here called the brain, right? And you're always becoming what you think about, right? Yeah. And it incorporates the law of attraction. The law of attraction says that whatever you're seeking is also seeking you, right? So you're being pulled toward what you think about dominantly, right? And then you show up as that person. And one of the problems that some people have with trying to understand that is that wherever they are, they show up.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So that then you got to get you out of the way and refresh that to happen. Yeah. So that's a very powerful, and each one of these principles is a message, right? So I'm obviously I'm going through fast here, but they're very, very, very practical. Maintain character and integrity at all times. That's principle 2. Character and integrity live in the same house. They're cousins, right? They stay together, right?
Yes.
And character is who you are when nobody's looking, right? It's who you are in when I say when nobody's looking, right?
Right.
And it's not the character that my mama used to call me. Boy, you got it's a character, right?
Right.
Not that. Right. It's different, right? So we teach people to have character, right? So we say that if nobody's looking and you found a wallet in the Walmart parking lot,
what would you do with it?
What would you do with it, right? So they would say whatever they would say, and they say, well, I'd take it back to the front desk, right? I said, and with the money in it.
Hey, so I'm semi honest.
Yeah.
Without taking, And we talk about this with one of the classes.
Mm-hmm.
And the word integral comes from a Greek word that means integral, which means structure.
Yep.
So what are your structure? What are you built on?
That's good.
And so and the thing is, the fathers, what are we teaching our kids?
Yes.
What structure are we laying down for them? My dad, and I'm like your dad, was a show and tell dad.
That's right.
He showed us what to do, then he told us to go do it.
That's right.
We don't like that these days.
That's right.
I want to tell you what to do without showing you.
Yes, I get it.
Integrity means I've laid it out,
Yeah.
and you watch me do it.
Yeah.
I'm not just talking about doing it.
That's right.
Living my life.
And I think the Greeks say integration. It comes from the word integration to bring together what you say with what you do.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So integrity is something. It's something. Now you don't need a contract if you got integrity.
No, you don't.
Right.
All you need is a handshake.
That's right.
And all you need is your word.
That's right.
Now we're living in a day now that you better get a contract because this word is not what it used to be.
That's right. No, I didn't say that.
I didn't say that. I'm not agreeing on that. You said what? I owe you $150 a week for this car? Yeah. No, I don't. That's right. It's my car.
That's right.
You don't have the title.
That's right.
So we do have to have contracts in the world in which we live in, we definitely have to have a foundation.
And if you have integrity, everything, nothing else matters. If you don't have integrity, everything else, nothing else matters. Exactly right.
You sort of don't hurt. If I told you I'm gonna do something,
Yeah.
Your yay is your nay, and your nay.
And if you don't do it, I use the example of taking a friend to the airport. Say the plane leaves at 9,
Right.
And you ask your friend to pick you up at 8 o'clock, and they pick you up at 8:45, right?
Right.
So they just took an integrity hit.
Yes.
And guess who you don't ask to take you to the airport anymore?
No more.
Right?
Not you.
That's right.
I ask you to take that. I use this all the time.
Yeah.
If you ask the student, are you going to get up in the morning to take me to the airport at 6 o'clock?
Right.
Well, that's going to take some time for you to get out. You got to get that 4:30.
That's right.
And if I ask you that question, you say yeah right away without thinking about it, I know you ain't going to show up.
Right.
But you haven't even counted up. That's what counted the call for you.
Yeah. That's good. So that, and then we dive down to my favorite one, which is one of my favorite ones. All of them are special, and that's develop principle 4: develop and maintain a positive mental attitude. Being nice to people is what my mom would say. And that's how she would frame that.
Pretty much.
And she said, son, being nice to people will open doors for you that you can never open on your own. And that is so true. That is so true.
Kindness.
Yes, being nice to people, right? So that's a powerful one. It established a sound financial plan. When people say, I'm getting out of prison, I'm broke. What I got to do about a financial plan? I said, we got to plan one, right? Because if you can't plan 24 hours, you'll never plan 24 years. See, so plan it. So, and like my children, we started teaching them about money when their amounts were small and they were young, right? So because, we're tithers, right? So I'm sure April and Ashley would give me $10 out of 100. I'm pretty sure that.
Right.
But I don't know if they give me $100,000 out of me. You see what I'm saying? Same 10%, but it's the difference.
That's $100,000, Daddy.
Yeah. So when the amounts are small, you learn as it grows in increments, the principles stay with you. Yeah. So that's very important. Let's see. Read daily and increase your knowledge and skills. That's principle number 9.
Yes.
The book you won't read, the book you don't read won't help, right?
All right.
And he who will not read has no advantage over he who cannot read. Right? So it's very important that you pick up a book. And I used to listen to cassette tapes, and I used to get kind of all kinds of audio play and all that now.
Right.
But I would turn my car to the university back in my sales days. I still do some of that. Because people average about 300 miles a year. I forget the statistic. Anyway, you lose a lot of time that you could be using drive time. Right. They could be transformed into learning time. Right. So that's important. Let's see here.
I just like number 11.
Okay. Yeah, be a giver. Be a giver. Oh my God. Be a giver. It is unbelievable what that could do, what that will do for yourself, right? Not to get preachy on you here, but there's a story about the Jordan River. It runs along the right side of Israel, right? Mm-hmm. It starts at the top, obviously, and it flows into the Dead Sea at the bottom. Right. So at the beginning, at the start of the trek, is the Sea of Galilee, right?
Right.
It's vibrant and green and all that, right? And the Jordan River runs through it.
Good.
And then when you get to the Dead Sea, obviously it's dead. Same sea, same water, but no circulation. See, the Sea of Galilee receives and gives the joy.
Right.
Receives and gives the joy. But the principle of the Dead Sea, there's no outlets out of the Dead Sea.
Wow.
So it just receives. That's right.
They said takers have no limits.
That's right.
They're not going to stop taking.
That's right. So that's one. Here's really one I like. On 14. Understand the principles of leveraging and compounding. Now let me unpack that a bit. So leveraging comes from the word lever, right? Lever. A lever is something that does the heavy lifting for you. You remember the old car jacks?
Yes.
The steel car jack with the steel
Yes.
bumpers and
Yes.
all, right?
Yes. Yes.
You could take one hand and plug it in that jack, and you can make a 2-ton car come off the ground.
Yes.
Right? Well, you say, well, wait a minute. The jack is just right there. I'm right here. And I couldn't do that with my own self
No.
if I tried to do
You
it.
couldn't budget.
That's because the lever is doing the heavy lifting for you, right?
Right.
So when you leverage something, you let it do the heavy lifting. Because if you wanted a car and you had a friend who had a friend at the bank that could say, look, I need you to meet Glenn. He needs a car, and I need y'all to help him. Your chance of getting a loan from that bank through a friend that you leveraged
Right.
will be easier to do
Then you just go
than
in
you
there.
try to do it yourself.
Wow.
Right? So having a lever and leverage things and people is not that's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
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 And then compounding, now that's a very interesting concept. Compound effort works just like compound interest does. Right?
Okay.
It doesn't look like it's working
Right.
until you go away a while. You
And
come
you come
back,
back, you see.
you've done that, right? So there's something I call the Chinese bamboo that I talk about.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
All right. Chinese bamboo is a real real bamboo tree, and you plant it just like you would a pine tree. That's the principle, right? So you plant it, and it takes 5 years for it to reach ground level. Get this now. But in the next 6 years, it grows 60 feet.
Yeah.
In 8 weeks, right? So the question I ask is, did it grow 60 feet in 8 weeks, or did it grow 60 feet in 5 years? It's not a trick question. It took 5 years in 8 weeks.
Right.
But the first 5 years, you didn't know it was even happening.
Right. You can see it.
You couldn't convince your friends that it's working. I
Right.
got this business plan. I need
You
you to
don't
see
see
what
the
it's doing.
result?
You don't see the result? 2 years. You don't see the result? They figure out, okay, Glenn, you still reading the book.
Exactly.
You still doing the class.
That stuff ain't working, man.
Well, what's happening is it's expanding this vast root system on the ground to hold what it knows coming. Right? So you have to be patient, number one, and you got to understand the principle. Sometimes what you're doing, you can't see it working. Right? So for people who want to start a business, for people who want to get out of prison, for people, it just takes time.
Wow.
So that principle is very important. And then the last one here, it says, take time to measure your activity and your progress. You never master what you don't measure.
Right.
Yeah, you never master what you don't measure. So it takes time to do it, and you got to check in on yourself.
There's a story that may not relate to this. I hope I get it right.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at it, it also can apply to God.
Okay.
God doing stuff in the background that we don't see.
That's right.
So one of
That's
the
Chinese bamboo.
one of the preacher ladies, she was like, her son was like, I don't want to be like you. My daughter. She said, so you want to be like you? I want to be like you, my daughter. She said, why? She said, because you don't work. She said, we didn't have to work. You don't work. When I get up here at home, when I come home, you're at home. All you do is sit in the computer. You don't work. And she's like, she got kind of properly got angry. Like, who you think cook your food?
Right.
Who you think wash your clothes?
Right.
Who you think feed? Who you think do all this stuff?
Yes.
Because you don't see me doing it, don't mean I'm not working.
That's right.
The same thing with God.
That's right.
We don't see God in the background.
That's right.
And we assume that God is not doing it,
That's right.
but He's working with the same principle of the tree. We don't see it moving,
Exactly right.
we don't see it growing, but we assume that it's not.
You couldn't prove it to nobody because it's on the ground. Right. So let me, I guess, close the principle process with a concept that I talk about from principle number one. What you think about it. Right?
Yeah.
So there's a story of the twin boys who had an alcoholic father, right? And one grew up to be an alcoholic, and one grew up to be a doctor. Right? Same
Same
dad.
Same dad.
So they asked the person who became an alcoholic, they said, son, how did you end up this way? He said, you don't understand. My dad was an alcoholic. Then they asked the gentleman who became a doctor, they said, how did you end up a doctor? He said, you don't understand. My dad was an alcoholic. Right? So it's how you think about it.
Right.
I
don't want to do that.
Right?
Yeah. Right. So in closing, what are you working on any new projects? What's this chapter? I know you're still doing the work that you're doing now, and you continue to do that. And retirement is probably nowhere on your radar.
No, I'm up down the field. But what do you call the class that you? I mean, what do you call the project that you do about taking care of grandchildren?
Being a grandparent, and that chapter never go away, never get old. You do that until the day the Lord calls you home.
Jack and I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
We're really good at spoiling them to give them back to their parents.
Yeah, and that's what we're
That's fun. But so I don't know. I'm just enjoying the day-to-day work. Jack and I get to travel a little bit now because she's retired for the last 2 years, and still working with NAACP. Enjoy my kids and grandkids, son-in-law. So life is good.
And doing that honey-do list.
Yeah, I'm doing that. Honey had to clean up the garage this weekend. So, but I know when Jackie retired about a year and a half ago, she retired, and I said, okay, wow, I got people now. I don't have to be at work at 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock now, so maybe we can go eat, breakfast, whatever. It lasts about 2 days.
Don't you got something to do at the office?
Ain't you got somewhere to be?
Why are you here? Disturbing my peace.
She says I worked 33 years to be able to get up when I get to sleep. Yeah, that's true.
And I'm gonna feel like I'm going to give a 50 break. That's what you are. No, that ain't gonna happen.
That's right. So life is great. Life is great. Enjoying what I'm doing, and enjoying some of the lives we're changing. We still got a lot of work to do.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, sir.
This is Dennis Gaddy.
Thank you.
CEO of Community Success Initiative, CSI, and doing some powerful work in Wake County and around the world. And stuff. So I really enjoyed you for being a friend, and being my mentor, and thank you again for coming.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Appreciate everything.
Man, what an amazing interview. I hope you guys were excited about that interview as I was. His 15 keys of success. At the end, we really got into that. Dennis, again, has been really instrumental in my life and my success. I owe him a lot. And I hope the audience really learned something about CSI and the work they're doing in the community and his whole story on reentry. He started his nonprofit in his bed, in his cell, while he was incarcerated. What an amazing story. I am so glad that I got the opportunity to know Dennis, and it's honored that he came on this show. And I hope our audience got just as much out of this as I did. So until next time, be safe, and we'll see you again. Here's 3 ways you can support our Dads at a Distance initiative. Give a copy to a family member, our friend. Donate monthly, a book monthly, 5 books monthly, how many books you want to do monthly donation. Reverse book signing, your church, your business. You can make a donation go to our website at www.afatherforever.com and go to our PayPal at Fathers Forever. Our Cash App is $Fathers Forever. Make your donation today. Please include in the note section, include DAAD. Again, include in the note section DAAD.
If you or someone you know would like to be a part of the show, please visit our website at www.afatherforever.com or call us at 919-779-9905. The Chat and Chew podcast streams Thursdays at 8 p.m. on YouTube and Facebook. To schedule a reverse book signing or to find out more information about how you can become a part of the programs you heard us mention today, please be sure to stop by our website as well.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Father Forever University. My name is Glenn Warren, and I will be your instructor. Father Forever University is a remote learning experience where we take our 12-week class, and we meet here every Thursday night from 6 until 7, and we talk about fatherhood. We talk about domestic violence. We talk about where your child support money is going. We teach classes about fatherhood and how important it is to be in your child's life. So these 12 weeks is going to be very important for you guys to understand and the concept of fatherhood and what we're trying to teach you. Father Forever University is broken down into 12 weeks, and you can start at any time during those 12 weeks. The key to it is finishing those 12 weeks. Every lesson is in lecture format, where you listen to that lecture, and then on Thursday nights, we discuss that lecture. The Thursday night discussion is where your homework will be due. Part of your homework assignment every Thursday night is to, one, we'll ask you the question, what did you learn? And the second question, how am I going to apply what I learned? We also have specific assignments for each lesson in the notes below. This has been an introduction into Father Forever University. Now let's get started in lesson 1.